I hate no-knock warrants. I mean, we live in a country with the Second Amendment. We have people who have a right to protect their homes. And when you have innocent people like these two inside their home and someone comes bashing in the middle of the night, yeah, you can fire your weapon. But what happened here is they fire their weapon, then police return fire, and Breonna Taylor gets shot and killed. Let me bring back in our think tank here because I understand the civil case. I think they have a strong opportunity here with a civil case, you know, in terms of liability, mistakes, whatever was made here. But a lot of people are talking about criminal charges. Brian Watkins, let me start with you. You've got a no-knock warrant, right? But it's signed by a judge, executed by police. Someone from inside fires, they return fire. Under those circumstances, how can you get criminal charges against the police?
You absolutely can't. The problem is with the law, and those officers follow the law. There are no-knock search warrant. It's just that I can enter your home because the judge says that I can, and I don't have to knock. And the officers can always defend themselves. Officer safety is often always number one, and they have the right to return fire. So everything they did was technically legal. It's the laws that are the problem. Now, whether or not there is a larger conspiracy to take over this young man's property, and all these officers who executed that warrant that night were in on this conspiracy and had something to gain from this real estate deal, that's a huge conspiracy theory that definitely would bring criminal charges if it could be proven at all. I don't know that it can be, but as it stands right now, a drug warrant, yeah, the judge probably never should have signed it, but you can get a warrant like getting a cheeseburger. It's very easy. You say whatever and the judge grants the warrant, which is a problem, but it's not a criminal problem with the officers that were involved in this shooting.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. Jeffrey, I think Brian's onto something here. I think the only way you get into the criminal aspect of this is if these officers, as is alleged by the civil attorney, that they were lying on this warrant. So if the warrant itself is fraudulent because it's based upon lies, that to me is the beginning of the criminal investigation.
I agree 100%, Vinny, because if there were lies in that warrant, then that warrant was obtained fraudulently. And then this whole smoke screen of what officers normally get away with, we had a warrant, we were executing it, we were shot, like Brian was saying, is that all goes away. Because if they fraudulently obtained a warrant, especially if they did it, you know, as part of some larger conspiracy, which hard to prove, but start following the money. But ultimately, if that's what they did, then all of their qualified immunity, all of their, we were just following the law, we were just defending ourselves, that stuff starts to go away, and you start to see malicious action that could lead to criminal charges in this case. And with the extreme political and social pressure on this case, if there's a way to file charges in here, they're going to do it, because justice is being demanded, and not just by Oprah, but by their entire community. And so it is time to start taking action on these sort of things. And if there is any whiff of impropriety here, I think it's coming.
Yeah, and Marie, I don't want to disagree with Oprah, right? Because you don't want to do that. But I think I have to here in terms of the 5 months. I don't necessarily think 5 months is such a long time for the type of criminal investigation we're talking about. This isn't a simple, oh, this was, all right, you fired the weapon, we're going to arrest you for murder or manslaughter, because they're executing a warrant signed by a judge. But I think if the investigation has to go back to the warrant and the basis for that and everything else that's outlined there, 5 months for an investigation like that, to me, isn't necessarily a long time.
Well, as we all know, the wheels of justice move very slowly. And for such a complicated way of bringing action in this conspiracy theory, it's going to take a while to build up such a case. I like the civil aspect of it. I think it's there was extreme wanted negligence at the very least in this case, and I think at the very least they'll be held responsible civilly, if not criminally. But this case is not going to go away, especially with what's going on in our country right now. And we should be looking at this more closely, and we should be looking at it more closely, especially if there were such kind of conspiracy going on behind the scenes. This should have never happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And no knocks are done in Louisville. They passed something. They're not doing it there anymore, but they're trying to take that statewide and nationwide at this point. When we return, folks, Playboy.